Hey guys, this is Lamar Kane here with Up Your Geek. We are at the New Jersey Comic Expo in Edison, New Jersey. This is the third year event. We are here with independent artist Angel Santiago. How you doing, Mr. Santiago?
Good. How you doing?
All right, I'm great. So we come to this event every year for the past 3 years, and a lot of their focus is on the artists, the writers, and it's a Comic-Con, so the Comic-Con atmosphere where you see that, and that's what's being showcased, which is what these events should be about.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about what brought you here and what got you into doing what you're doing now?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so similar to you guys, I've been coming the last couple of years to this con as well. I just love the atmosphere, the smaller one. I've been to New York Comic Con a couple of times, and as much as I love the energy, the crowd is just, it gets to me sometimes. And the same energy we have here with the smaller crowd, it's a little bit more intimate. So I've been a participant on that side for the most of the time, and this is my first year with an actual table.
Awesome.
Which is pretty cool.
So can you tell us a little bit about your art, any inspirations, anything that you draw from when you're creating your own, when you're doing your work? Is there any other artists that from the past that might have inspired you?
Definitely. I think every artist has somebody who kind of inspires their work. So I got in late in the game, and when I say late, it was probably where most people were dealing with like the X-Men explosion. I came in with the Image explosion. So like the early 90s, so I followed Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri, all those guys. And as much as, I know that Rob Liefeld can't draw hands and feet, he has such a unique style that I just gravitated to that. So I'm a big Image fan. So those guys definitely inspired me. So you'll see some of their elements of their inspiration in my work.
How long have you been doing art?
All my life. I took a long hiatus. I got back into it in college. So I did it in grammar school a lot. Went to FIT. Still did it, but it was a different direction. And then in college, I got into computer arts and animation. Always been in love with like the superhero kind of type motif and character. So I always gravitate back to it.
What's your what medium do you use when you're doing your artwork? Is it digital? Are you doing ink? Are you doing paints? Do you do a little all of that?
A little bit of everything. So my process is really loose on the paper. So I get my roughs and then I basically scan that in and then do everything else digitally. So I do some stuff where I completely ink it out as well. But if I want to work quicker, it's definitely roughs and then right to digital.
How do you feel that translates from just doing it freehand?
Freehand is always going to be tougher. I mean, because there's only so much whiteout you can use before it looks really crappy on a piece of paper. So having that freedom in digital to be able to erase, redo the layers, all that stuff is great. But there's nothing when you're looking at a painting of, ink to paper. So that doesn't really transfer into digital. Digital can look really cool, but I think the old school people really love that ink on paper.
Right. And it looks really great. And you can tell like kind of the work that's been put into it.
Yeah.
Digital makes it a little easier to refine certain things where you're not using 100 sheets of paper to well, now I messed up and I've screwed this area up, but now I have to use a whole other thing. Now I have to start over. So I think in a way, some people that transition over to digital really love the aspect that you get to move these lines.
Yeah.
And you can. I've seen Todd McFarlane does digital now.
Yep.
He shoots videos online, and it's really cool seeing it. And I'm like, wow! I say it's just like he's doing it on paper, but he's doing it kind of like classic. Making a body and face and everything like that. He knows where to start with the characters.
Right.
He doesn't. It starts out like weird, and then you see him using digital features where he's like he'll highlight something and delete it. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And he can add. So it does make the work quicker. It doesn't take away the skill, I don't think.
No, but he has a lot of muscle memory of, because he was before that. So he's had a lot of pen and ink experience.
It transitions well into digital because he's had that ability.
Correct. I agree.
He's done that. So now that when he's doing it, it's like he's drawing on paper. And it's like he puts, I'm like, wow. I said that, Mark is a good artist too. He knows where everything is. He knows where to start on the paper so that he's not overdrawing or underdrawing. Maybe lines need to meet somewhere else. It's kind of like when you do the old sketches of the head and you do the oval.
Oval, cut the lines, cut them in the middle.
Because I kind of dabbled in that myself.
Okay.
I went to school for graphic design at one point in my life. So I'm fascinated by art, and plus I'm a fan of art. So
you and me both.
I'm a fan of art. So anytime I come to these events, it's like I'm gravitated to the artists.
Sweet.
I do like the style here. I love the ink style. Can you tell me about what goes into how do your ideas start out with where you're going to draw? Do you select something? Is it like, oh wait, I really wanted to create this character and my image, and like if you're drawing like a Spider-Man or a Lobo, like what goes through your thoughts
when I'm drawing other characters like Spider-Man or Lobo, I think it's just trying to find the essence of that character and then put them in a position that whether it's going to be, I have a theme or a series that I'm working on, or just try to emulate what I think that character has always been and should be. When I do my own stuff, and I think all artists do it, especially when they're doing their own stuff, when they're writing it, is interjecting whatever's happening in their lives. So all these culminations of the characters that I've created for myself are bits and pieces of my life that have happened and then just become part of the characters.
So the characters that you created, they all have a backstory.
Correct.
Awesome.
Correct.
And can you tell us a little bit about your characters?
Sure. So the main two characters, it's pretty much just like, I want to say typically like how every hero book is, where they have an origin story or something really tragic has happened to them. And I think when we've read comics like that, superhero comics, we've always followed the venture of one person. So what I'm trying to do differently is have two different characters who are going down the same path together, but you're seeing it from two different angles. So the main character, one is called a Saint, is a character who's had a hard life, lost his mom and his brother in the fire. He blames his mom for the fire and killing his younger brother. So he actually damns her soul to hell. Then there's a whole arc that's based around him trying to save his mother's soul from hell. Then you have a person who becomes the sinner, who is a person of faith, had a great family, great life. And little by little, all of that is stripped away from him. And on his deathbed, he actually denounces his faith. So somewhere in hell, somebody hears that and gives him a second chance. And he comes back believing the opposite of his faith, which is killing everybody through the 7 deadly sins. And their paths will cross at one point.
And so with these characters that you created, are you creating stories?
Yes. So right now, I have a full source book so everybody has a background and how their kind of interaction will happen down in the road. So the source book is complete. The first arc is in the head with a whole bunch of notes. So the writing aspect of it, and I give writers a ton of credit because I sit there sometimes and I'm practically bald just because I'm like, all right, this makes sense. So the dialogue back and forth, because to me, when I was young, it was the art. I saw Tom McFarlane, I said, whoa, I just picked it up. There was very little of, if the story was okay, it was the art that drew me. Now I still read and I love to read. If the dialogue and the story is awesome, if the art's okay or mediocre, I will still pick up the book because it's a story that kind of intrigues me. And that's what continues to, get people to pick up the second issue, the third issue, especially for independent comic artists. It's tougher to have a following than the big two guys.
So your hope is to have those characters transition into a full story.
Correct.
Into a comic version. That's what you want.
Yes.
Do you have other characters?
I do. So I have the main two characters. Then right now I have supporting characters like the detectives, where they were actually childhood friends. When he leaves, comes back, sort of like a kind of, Batman's one of my top heroes. Love him. So there's some kind of connection in there that happens where they discover, or she discovers who he is again. That's her partner, Detective Miguel, and they all have similar, like their backgrounds to it and their interactions. And then I have, everything takes place in a city called Guardian City. And there's 5 islands. So I grew up in Hell's Kitchen. So to me, it's always been the 5 boroughs. So there's something of me always in it. So I created my own islands. Everything's depicted out. There's a more detailed map with the subway systems, transit systems, and how they get along. And then I added a couple of extras in there as well. And each one of the islands has their own sort of like gang boss or whatever it is. So you have, this guy Sumo who grew up with the Yakuza. He was their big muscle, and he ends up taking over East Island. You have La Dama, who's more Mexican. She came in from Mexico, rough childhood, travels with a guy named El Lobo. Not Lobo, El Lobo, which is just the wolf, and he protects her. You got the Butcher Boys, who are guys from Ireland, where this guy's dad was working in a meat district, and he loves to use an axe for all his murders, kind of thing. Then you got the Hellion Kings, who are biker gangs, and they just ride. So, and each one of them will be responsible for what type of criminal activity that they own in their island. But then there's one person who kind of brings them all together, which is called a network. And then that will be part of the second arc. So these secondary characters will come in later on, while the Saint is trying to either save his mom or try to get rid of these demons that are called parasites that are coming through the rift and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that it'll be a mini series of just 12 issues where all of this will just come into light.
Wow, that's...
It's there, it's all in there, and I'm excited about, sharing it. And it's in this day and age, it's really hard to be unique with, coming up with stuff, because people have seen everything.
People have seen things.
But I think if people do it from a place of experience, so this is my experiences, some of it are my memories of things that have happened, then it may touch a little bit more with people.
It resonates with people. You kind of put your own taste and twist on it. And it's not a generic story that people are like, I've already seen this before. Because it's coming from the heart, from you, and then you're integrating some of your lifestyle
Exactly.
stories and characters. And I think that's what draws people to stories. Stories that feel like they're fantastical, but they feel very real.
Yeah, grounded.
To people.
Yep.
And grounded, like exactly. It's almost akin to why Christopher Nolan's Batman was so popular, because you took this great, realistic character, from this fantastic universe, and you put him into the real world, which is what his goal was.
Right.
You didn't want any supernatural heroes.
Nope.
Facing him. His whole idea was to create Batman in a world where Batman can actually exist, like a person could actually become Batman, and everything that he got, his gadgets, to how he started, to how he trained, everything was written out and displayed so well in film. That's why it resonated so well with fans. And that kind of like your story is sounding like, it's got these supernatural elements, but very grounded story. Like where everything's going, and you take your own city and everything. So it's like, it's great. And actually, that's pretty great. Most, and I can liken it to Stephen King, who's from Maine. His story, It. The It is based in Maine, and he created his own town and everything like that. But you can do that. I think those are the best kind of stories that you can tell if you're creating a story, because you know what New York looks like. You can create these places, but you can put your own names on where these things go, what they're connected to, what the streets are going to be called. Because you can create all this using the layout of New York.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like, people will flock to that. That's great.
I hope so.
It's to me, that's you explaining that it's like, now I want to hear more, now I want to see it actually become a series, because I'd like to read it.
Oh, yeah. You and me both. You and me both.
it's I mean, you got a lot going on here with the characters, and that's a really great start, because sometimes the hard part is getting characters to a story together. Some people will create a story and then not have any characters that stand out or stick out, and they're really generic. So you have to have the detail of the character down first.
Correct.
Then you can put, because really, you can put these, you don't even have to have a made-up city. You can put these characters, if you create these characters and give them a backstory, you can put them in any world.
Yep. I agree. It's the experiences that they go through, the characters themselves, that make them who they are at the time when you meet them. And I think that's what I work the most on, is that say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to just draw a big fat guy with a rose on his chest. What made him do that? How did he get his metal arm? How did all of this stuff? What happened to him that made him the way that he was? And I think that's what, I hate to say it, but Stan Lee did it really well when he wrote. He gave these characters their flaws. And I think that's what they gravitate to, is their flaws and how they overcome them, because it's the decisions that they make that are based off of the consequences of decisions that they make.
You bring up an interesting point. Stan Lee with his popular characters, with Spider-Man. He's this teenager, still dealing with life's issues. He's this
as a teenager.
He's a teen. He's got superpowers. He does all these amazing things, but at the end of the day, he's still got to go to high school and take his physics test. So he's got to deal with being poor. He doesn't make money. He's trying to help his aunt out. He's still dealing with life's issues, and he's a superhero. He could go and rob banks. Or he could steal from people, or do anything with his power, but he chooses to help people. Oh wow, he didn't help himself. Now goes to that where he starts to sell pictures and decides making money on Spider-Man. But someone, and also like a character like Batman, you mentioned earlier, this is why people love Batman. Batman is a really grounded character, and this is something that could happen to people in real life. Like his parents died, and this whole traumatic event. He went through school, trained himself, and everything like that. And he was so determined to find out. Not only did he kill his parents, but he then wanted to understand why people committed these crimes, and he wanted to be into that. He wanted to bring fear to people that did that felt like they needed to strike fear in others. And it was like, I'm hearing the stories about the two characters. Those two main characters, like this kind of like that is really a really intricate way, in a really interesting way to start your stories out. You're developing characters. You have this whole book, and the Saint and Sinner. I think it's a really awesome idea to have someone who was a believer who now is out of that faith and is now evil, and you have this character torn about his mother, and then I guess for him he feels like maybe he shouldn't have been trying to help, and now he's trying to get his soul back. And like, I want to read that story. Like,
cool. Hopefully you're gonna read it.
Hopefully.
And the way you're explaining it back to me is awesome, because it just lets me know that my message is clear. And I think at the end of the day, I think whether you're a superhero or a villain, there's two things that are always going to be of consequence: nature and nurture, and how much influence either one has that crosses over. Because you're explaining Spider-Man to me, and I'm like, at any time, and I believe it's the way that he was brought up, that she's just one bad decision away from becoming a villain.
Going off of that, it's the basis of Alan Moore's The Killing Joke. All it takes is one bad day. That line the Joker feeds to Batman. You're just one bad day from being like me.
That sums up everything.
Everything. With every superhero, there can be and you've seen it in comics. There are heroes that have turned to villains and vice versa. But that is the truth, and it resonates in any story that you can hear. So that story about the center there, it's like, man, I'm on my deathbed. This is for all this faith, what was it for? Here I am, I'm still going to die. Screw it.
And he makes that decision.
And that decision was made. And that's what every hero and villain have to deal with. And it's like, do I want to keep living my life like this? But that does sum everything up. All it takes is one bad thing. One snap decision. Superman, who's someone so superpowered, born of Krypton, raised on Earth. He's got the values of humans, but Superman could snap your neck, and nobody can stop him. He could wipe out countries.
Yeah. But imagine if he didn't have Martha.
Imagine if this is why he had so many people, so many alien races trying to take over him and control his mind, because he had this superpowered being. The world is grateful that he's on their side, and he's there to protect them, because they've seen what people like him can do.
Right.
This guy can destroy the entire world. You don't want to make him angry.
No.
Not
at all.
No. So it's really great. So those characters that you explained, that the message definitely gets through.
Cool.
Your explanation of those characters are really great. Left me I want to learn more and see how this story develops and everything like that. So I'm actually interested in it. And,
awesome.
Pique my interest. I'm sure that anybody you might explain this to, I'm pretty sure our fans are really fans of writing artists and stuff like that. So that this speaks to the heart of people who love great storytelling. So
cool.
I think it's great.
I appreciate it.
I really look forward to that.
Thank you.
What's your next step?
So right now, I'm going to work backwards. So normally in the Kickstarter, when you do a Kickstarter, most people have like an issue that they're going to be working towards. I'm going to do it backwards. I'm going to work on the source book first. So what I'm going to do is run a limited 200 copy series. That's it. There'll only be 200 copies of the source book, so that I can get that printed out, so that people understand the background of the first issue when it first comes out. And it'll give them some kind of idea. And if I can make that really successful, getting the source book printed out and that done, then that'll help me boost into the first issue of the comic series.
I really wish you success. I look forward to that too, because I really want to read everything.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
So thank you for taking your time out to talk to us.
No, thank you.
This is Lamar. We're with Geek. We're at the New Jersey Comic Expo. This is Angel Santiago. Do you have any websites? Do you have anything you want to plug?
Everything's under Angel Comic Art. So angelcomicart.com, and on Instagram, Facebook, it's all the same. Angel Comic Art.
Right. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything.
And website, everything. Everything. Yeah.
All right, freaks and geeks. So you heard that. Check him out. Go on all social media, website. Check out his artwork. He's got some stories coming soon. Right?
Soon.
So
Thanks, guys.
This is definitely a nice way to help you geek.
Cool.